Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of the OMP Hobby Edge 540 build series. If you haven't seen part 1, check that out, it'll be linked in the description below. And in that part we unboxed the model and had a good look at the quality of it. And to be honest with you, I was pretty blown away. So in this part, we'll be building the model, getting it completely finished, taking it down to the field and giving it a flight. And also there's a little treat in it for you as well, so stay tuned. You can get hold of one of these models at a discounted price. Right, let's make a start. Okay, so I've decided to start with the wing, and the reason why I like to do that is because it's just easy to get it done, get them both out of the way and then move on. So we're going to start with the wing. I've gone and selected the nicely labelled, let me just show you that. Where are you even looking? There we go. The nice labelled hardware pack Edge wing. And in here we should have everything we need for the wing. So it's just really a simple case of spinning her over. We're going to be putting the servo in using the pre-installed wire to attach to the servo, and we're going to be putting the horn on and then just connecting up linkages. Now if you don't know already, I'm going to be using the OMP Hobby SG12 1512 servos, because I thought I may as well go all in for OMP Hobby and just see what it's like. So let me go ahead and get that put in and then I'll show you what it looks like. So guys, I'm partway through and I've just thought I'd point out a few little bits to you which I quite like. So you can see this one's already in and the wire's through, but let me just go back to the one that I'm currently working on. So it's a small thing, and some of you may not be bothered by this, but I just like these little touches. Holes pre-drilled for the screws, it's quite nice. Takes the guesswork out. You just drop the servo in, know exactly where the alignment's got to go. Servo fits straight in as well, there's no messing about with the box, it's just ready to go. The slot for the hinge is pre-done, just a case of dry mounting it first, dry fitting it, make sure it's okay. And you see the hinge itself, sorry not the hinge, the horn itself has got holes in it, so when I flood this all with epoxy, the epoxy should go through the holes as well. I probably will still rough this up a little bit, just below the line on both sides to slot that right in, so there's no chance of that coming out. Yeah, so a quick tip if you're making up rods, I actually measured the gap on the rod, so the distance between the end of this clevis down to this clevis, and on mine it's 42 millimeters. So on mine it's 42 millimeters, you can just see there. And then I just obviously check to make sure they're both the same. You want both your rods exactly the same length, so there's no difference in the geometry between both ailerons on each wing. And then finally, another little bit I like, sorry moving the camera all over the place here, but getting to the end of the wing, move this back, you can see they put a little grommet in there for you to pull the wire through. So basically that wire won't go back into the wing and get lost now, it's through the hole. You can just pull that grommet out, thread the wire through it, then push the grommet back in. Exactly what I've just done there. Nice little touch. So yeah, okay, let me get this wing finished and get these horns epoxied in, and then we'll take another look. Okay guys, so that is the wings done. Literally, servo's in, horns on. I've not bolted up the servo head yet, I'll do that when I set up the model, but I just want to stop and just show you these SFGs. So side force generators, there's one already applied to the wing, and these of course are removable. So what you get is a little spacer to go in, and the reason why you have that is so that the SFG doesn't push directly against the aileron there. I think you're just about to see. So the spacers in here, there you go, in there, just to push it away. And then you get a couple of bolts on the end here, but they're slotted, so they are quick release. And let me just show you that on the other wing. So the spacer is already on the tip, as you can see there, and the SFG just goes on top of the bolts. It's the first time this one's been on, might be tight, oh no it's not, there we go, and then just slide it back. Okay, so what's making that more awkward is the fact they've included washers. I don't actually like that. So what I might do is actually attach those washers to the bolt itself. Otherwise it's going to be a bit of a pain to pull it on and off. Let's try that again. There we go, that's better. Then push it across. So just be careful of those washers there. I mean, I'm literally just going to glue mine to the bolt. So they can't get stuck like that, and then you just twist it up. And that's it, your SFG is on. and correctly spaced as well. Now I like flying these on, especially on the larger models. A lot of people don't, because it will change the roll rate, but for me it makes it more stable, and I like flying them because of knife edge as well, much easier to knife edge. So it's personal choice, but I think they also look good. Right, so that is the wings. That's the wings done. So let's put them away and let's make a start on the fuselage. I just thought I'd show this really quickly as I was putting the wings away. The model comes with wing bags, as you would have seen from the unboxing video. The tube has a nice little slot inside, so you don't lose that. And also, the SFGs have got a slot inside the wing bag as well. So, well thought through, but just thought I'd point it out. Right, now let's start the fuselage. Okay guys, so on to the fuselage. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually fit the horizontal stabilizer. So we're going to spin the model over. And what you'll see is it's already slotted, and it has a removable section here you just pull out. So you can slot the stabilizer in. And let me just show you this, for those of you that have not seen the unboxing video. But I particularly like the way this is done. So it's got a nice carbon support in the middle there. It's nicely slotted. Basically you can't go wrong. I mean, you can put it upside down, but you're not going to do that. But it just lines up nicely. Let me show you that as we do a dry fit into the model first. Oh, move it back so you guys see it. It's just nicely turn it around so you can see it. And just sort of see it's just nicely keyed in. And there it goes. And there's no play in there whatsoever, so it can't go twisted. You can't get it too far over on one side. You can't get it at the wrong angles, otherwise this side further back and this side further forward. You can't do that. It's just keyed in and slotted. And that's nice. And afterwards, once it's glued in, you just take this piece and you pull it back in with your glue, line it up, and that forms your rudder post. I like that. It's a nice design. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to pull it back apart. I'm going to put some epoxy in there, stick it all back in, and then get ready to mount the rudder. Just a very quick one before I go and glue this in. I've just taken the covering off very slightly. You can see that little flap there, top and bottom as well. And the reason why I've done that is I want to stick wood to wood rather than covering to wood. So the epoxy is actually going to go all inside here. And you can see there's actually wood inside there, so I'd rather stick wood to wood rather than covering to wood. That's a personal preference. I think we'll get better adhesion that way. But I thought I'd just stop and show you guys. Right, now I'll glue it. Okay, so there's the horizontal stabilizer, now securely in. And while the glue was just drying for that, I went ahead and fitted the horn onto the rudder, as you can see there, so it's ready to go in as well. So with the rudder, what you want to do is just check all the ball joints fit, so do a dry fit, sorry not ball joints, all the hinge joints fit, do a dry fit onto the fuselage, and then get your epoxy on these. Be careful not to go over the actual joint itself, you don't want to go over this bit here with epoxy, so epoxy up to about here, and then let it squish in to there. If you do get some epoxy on there, use some alcohol spray just to remove it off, and it'll come off absolutely fine, but just to be careful when you're doing that, you don't want to put epoxy onto your joints because you're going to have a hard day trying to move the rudder. Right, I'll go ahead and get that on the model. Okay guys, so there's the rudder installed. Nice amount of movement there, and of course horizontal stabilizer finished off as well. Okay, so next up I want to get this model on its wheels, so we're going to go over to the undercarriage. Okay, so within the box we have the tail wheel, all nicely labelled with all the bolts you need in that one package. We have the main wheels, again nicely labelled. And then we have the axles for the undercarriage. The undercarriage itself is painted, which is really nice, and also pre-drilled, and the screws for the undercarriage, or the bolts rather, are already in the fuselage ready to go. Then we have our spats and our cuffs as well. So I'm going to turn them all upside down, get this bolted on, and I'll show you what it looks like. Guys, I was just putting the wheels together. I just want to stop for a moment and just show you this. I think this is pretty cool and I've not seen it before. So let me explain. We have our foam wheel, we have the axle, nothing unusual about that, and we have the spat. And I looked at it and thought, oh no, I've got to drill some holes, which I don't mind doing, but it's just a little bit irritating. But the thing is, you don't have to drill any holes at all. So let me show you how this goes together. Put the wheel onto the axle, and then you have this end piece here, which I'll just show you really close up. There we go, excuse the state of my hands. But you just basically put that on to here, and it just keys in, and then you've got a bolt that goes through there. So let me do that now quickly. And put a tiny bit of Loctite into the hole. Put that piece back on. Throw my bolt in. Tighten this up. And there is the wheel on the axle. No play. Spins nice and freely. And then at the back of the axle you have these other two threaded pieces, and they basically, if I just hook this inside here, slightly hard to do when you're filming. There you go, so that basically lines up with this, kind of keys in, and then when that goes onto the undercarriage it locks it all in place. So let me just show you. So sorry about the odd camera angle. So I just put one bolt through. All fingers and thumbs at the moment. There we go. And there you go, that's pulling up the spat and actually keying in place. Super easy, no drilling required. I like that a lot. Put the other bolt in. I'll give you a close up. I've got thread lock on those as well. That's not going anywhere. No drilling required, don't have to cut any slots. And there we go, there's a close up for you of the other one. Nicely spaced, that's not touching either. I like it. Just a different design that I hadn't seen before, so I thought I'd share that with you guys as I was putting the undercarriage on. But that is the front undercarriage on. I just need to put some silicone gloop around these, which you've probably seen me do loads of times before. Just basically draw a pencil line here, move the cuff up, put your silicone glue around there, and then squidge it back down, push it down, and maybe apply a bit of masking tape while that's drying. So I'll do the cuffs and then we'll go on to the tail wheel. And then I've just gone and bolted on the tail wheel as well. Now the holes weren't marked for the tail wheel, but the holes are there. So if you look very carefully, you can just see it through the covering. Locate one of them, put this on, and then it'll help you locate the second one, and then put in your rear bolt as well. So while the model's on the stand, I'm going to finish off the rear end and get these two servos in. So one for the elevator on this side, and one for the rudder on the other side. So we're doing pull push on the rudder on this size model, obviously not closed loop, because we have our connection down here already. So let me get those servos in, and then we'll put the model on its legs, on its wheels. Let's do that instead. Okay, so we have both rear servos in, not set up at the moment. I'll do that when I plug the transmitter in the first time, pop those heads off and set up. Just want to show you a little mistake I made at the front here. So as I just showed you a minute ago, I was glooping these in, but I forgot to put this section in here. So this just drops in, and then you can glue it to the undercarriage, and it hides away those bolts. There are holes through it as well, so if you want to make those holes, then you can get back to the bolts to be able to undo the undercarriage in one piece. That's absolutely fine. But do you know what, for me, I've just left it, I've glued it in, just a little tiny bit of sino onto the undercarriage, then push these back down, and they kind of hold it in as well. So don't forget to add that, like I just did. Anyway, no issues. We're ready to put the model on its wheels. Right, and there she is on her wheels for the first time. Still got some tape on it, so I've still got some glue, silicone glue, drying at the moment, but we can carry on. We're going to carry on by installing the motor. So hopefully you've already watched the unboxing of this video, and you'll know that I'm going for a sunny sky setup within this. Yeah, and hopefully the motor just bolts straight on. Let's find out. Okay, so the motor is on. That is the Sunny Sky X4120-7 KV550, and it's just a simple case of bolting the back plate onto the motor first. You can just see the corners of the back plate there. And once the back plate was bolted on, Loctite again, then you bolt the motor and the back plate onto the firewall, into F1, and then putting the hub on as well. So 3 bolts in the front here to get this hub on. And make sure you Loctite that as well. Then it should just be a case of the time the back plate of the spinner's on there, obviously the propeller and the spinner, the distance for the cowling should be about right. So we can roughly eyeball that now. Which will be about there. So it is a rough estimate. So it looks like it's going to come just about flush, which should be right because it's all the right gear for the model. Now, one thing I will point out on the cowling, which I'm not a massive fan of, they have nicely marked the holes here. And they've not drilled them, they've just put a pilot drill through, so they're not the right size at the moment. You can see them on both sides. But when it comes to the fuselage, there aren't any holes marked. And some people may struggle with that, actually getting the positioning of the cowling right, because it's quite easy to put it at the wrong angle, and before you know it, your cowling's off at the front here. They have got little, I've had a look inside and I'll show you guys in a minute, they've got little plier plates inside here, which I think have also got pilot holes in them. Yeah, they have. There's a few pilot holes in them, but you just can't see them from the outside. They're very difficult to see. I can't see them at all. Is that one there? No. It should be there where my finger is. So no, I can't see it, so I don't think they go all the way through here. So a little bit of a shame. So what we'll do is I'll cover this as to how to get this aligned when we get onto that part. But for now, I want to finish off some wiring and we'll come back to the cowling. Let me just show you what I've done in regards to this cowling, which I've kind of been fiddling around with probably for longer than I should be fiddling around with, but I'm pretty much happy where it is right now, and I'm ready to mark the holes. So first off, with cowling off, I've opened up these holes to 1 millimeter or 1.5 millimeter. No, it's about 1 millimeter. So just to make it easier for the screw to go through. I've obviously got the motor in, which you saw before, but what you didn't see, I've missed out 2 little spacers from the motor, so I'll show you those in just a minute. So the spacers are on, which come in on the bags, which are marked cowling. So it's marked cowling, but it's for the motor. Hopefully I've done that right. And then with that all on, and then the spinner on, the cowling fitted, I've just kind of moved this around to make sure that I'm nicely aligned around the spinner, which I'm about there, and my gap is the same all the way around. So I've got about a 1 mil gap. Don't know if you can see that if I zoom in. Can't from that angle, but looking this way on, I've got 1 mil gap that's all the way around, nice and even. So I know that the cowling is at the right angle, so therefore my holes must be in the right location. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to those of you that haven't done it before. I'm also checking the lines underneath here. So you probably can't see it from that angle you're at the moment, but if I get my head down low and look at this line that comes around here, it matches perfectly with the fuselage. Ignore that pencil line there that I put on, that needs to come back off. And then on the other side as well, matching the line. So I'm happy that is in the right place, and I'm happy with that gap. My issue is I wasn't getting that gap to start off with, and I'll show you why. Let's pull this off again. It's tight as well. There we go. So if I zoom in, and you can see it nicely there, if I point out, I didn't have these installed. So there's a spacer here, there's a spacer, and behind it you can just see there's a washer as well. So you've got a washer and a spacer. So that's probably giving you something like 6 mil, roughly, I'd guess, to space out the back plate from the former here. So without that, you've got to push the cowl much further back, and it just doesn't fit, and it doesn't work out. So each one of these, it's got a spacer. They do come with the model. They're in the bag, again marked cowling. So I was thinking, what are these for? Why are they marked cowling? I thought, I was trying to work out the washers for back here or what, but then I realised actually they're just standoffs. They're just spacers. Space out the motor, you then bring it out to the front of the cowling, put the cowling on like I just showed you, and we should be good to go. So I'm going to put that cowling back on, and then I'm going to just pilot hole through, and then use the supplied screws to get the cowling installed. The other thing you haven't seen, which I'll show you here as well, which am I a fan of? I don't know, I guess it works. And that is the ESC. Flip the model back over. Yeah, so the ESC. So it took me a hot minute to work out how to put the ESC on, because I originally thought maybe it goes underneath this section here, but it's too deep for that. And then actually saw somebody else online and put theirs that way around and just cable tied it. Now I'm not really a fan of using these cable ties on ESCs, to be honest with you. But right now, there's no way to really screw it in without making some sort of plate up. So I thought, Joe, what? It's tight. I will fly it and then I will check it. And then I've just cable tied these wires around to keep them out of the way. So if you leave those loose, you're going to struggle to get the cowling on again. So these have got to be tied up. So it looks a little bit messy. I'm not a massive fan of it, but you know what? It's going to work. I've left these accessible in case the motor's turning the wrong way around. Then obviously I can just swap two of these over. But yeah, let's get the cowling finished off and then crack on the rest of the electronics. Okay guys, so this is it. This is the model pretty much ready to go. So let me just talk you through the last few steps. First off, put the battery in place. Now it's worth noting the battery can move around quite a bit in here. In other words, you can adjust it quite a bit. You can move it down towards, if you want it more tail heavy, perhaps you're doing 3D, or push it slightly further forward. So I've got it here at the moment, just in line, you can just about see there. And it balances quite nicely on the wing tube at that point, which I think is about right. Spinner and prop, I think you've seen already. The nice tiny gap there. Just how I like it. Props on, and we've put the receiver in, and that's just stuck with Velcro, and then it's got Velcro tie around it. I'm probably going to change this because this is a little bit loose, so I'll probably change it out before the maiden. The wires for the servos are just run down inside those little slots, which you saw. Oh, that one's come out. They should be inside there, which you saw earlier on, and then also the tube at the back. And that is about it. That's ready to go. I've set up the control surfaces. I'm not running on full movement. I've dropped the movement down to about 65 on the Futaba set with about 40% expo, which is actually taken directly from their website. So I'll throw it up on the screen now for you if you don't know that. Always go and take the manufacturer's recommendations and do my first test flight based on them. Then I adjust it, and then I'll do a flight condition for more movement for like 3D. So that's it. So let's get this model flying. Okay guys, we finally made it down at the flying field. We're ready for the test flight of the OMP Edge. And it's all set up on the new Futaba T26, and I'll be doing some setup videos on this one very shortly, so make sure you like and subscribe to get those. So this is the test flight. So I'm wearing a microphone, and what I'm going to do is just take off, do a few trimming circuits, and I'm going to talk to you while I'm doing it as well. And then depending on how comfortable I am, we may do a few maneuvers, but obviously it's going to take a little while to get this plane dialed in, probably several flights. So what we'll do as well is at a later date, after I've flown this model for 30 times, I'll do another video for you showing you how I've got used to it and give you my true impressions of it. So with that said, let's get this maiden out the way. Just going to go and stand in the pilot's box. Okay, so I've got 5 minutes on the timer, but I'll probably land before that, as it's the first flight. So left aileron, right aileron, up elevator, down elevator, left, right. I always do 2 sets of safety checks before I fly. Motor's ready. All right, so I'm gradually increase the motor. Nice. That's about half throttle. Taking off on half throttle. Going around doing left-hand circuit. It's a little bit gusty today, nothing too bad. Still on half throttle, guys. Gonna need a couple of clicks of up. 2 clicks of up gone in so far. Climbing nicely on half throttle. Roll rate feels good. I think I need a few more. About 5 clicks up, I think that was, and it feels good. Right, loads of power, look at that. Let's try a stall turn. That's full throttle. Look at that power, that's impressive. I need a bit more rudder. I've only set up 1 flight condition on this at the moment. Try a bit of knife edge, half throttle. Oh, rolled out. It's not too bad. Just wanted to roll out very slightly. That might be me, that might be the wind. Let's try it a bit lower. Let's do a loop. I know I'm flying far out at the moment.
I think my first impressions are, this feels like it's got plenty of potential. I'll do a low flyby, so I'm still taking it a bit easy. See the wind just catching it a little bit, flying a little bit nose up. I'm standing in front of a hedgerow and the wind does tend to come over the top of the hedge. I was impressed with the power. Right, let's come back round and we'll do a full power climb. Go around to the right, I'll swing it back round to the left. And I'm going to do a full power climb. It's nice to have power to get out of things like prop hang. You can just see the wind catching it then. So I'm going to come along now and then let's power it up. Look at that.
2 minutes.
Coming off the throttle. That has got plenty of power. Can't wait to get this dialed in. Now, because it is a small plane, and guys, put your thoughts on this in the comments below, but I am thinking about putting a little gyro in this just to help it stabilise it a little bit. Especially where I often fly crosswind, it just helps on the landings. And talking of which, let's bring it in. Let's cut this flight short because I want to check over the model. I always do a shorter test flight to see what it's like dropping over this hedge here. You see it crabbing in slightly. Just keeping the power on, just flying it. Whoa! Oh, run out of elevator. Run out of up elevator on that. But she's down. So yeah, coming, I think it's going to have a tendency to catch the wind, which models of this size tend to do. I fly a 48 as well. This is obviously the 60. I think what I want is just a bit more elevator. So you can see at the moment how much trim have we got in. We've got a little bit of up trim in. So CFG is probably out very slightly at the moment. So we'll see if we can get that changed around. And I definitely want a little bit more up elevator because on that landing, kind of you see it just come in and got buffeted down with the wind. But overall, I think my first impressions is still in one piece, which is always good news. My first impressions, I like it. I've wanted something this size for a while. It's nice and easy and quick to put together. You guys saw that in the build video, the quick release of the wing, just plug it in when you're down the flying field and it's good to go. So I'm giving it a thumbs up at the moment, but like I said, I'm going to dial this in some more, get the CFG spot on, get used to flying it, do 30 flights with it, then I'm going to come back to you guys and give you my full review on it after those 30 flights. So make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time round.